assignments as well. Okay, it's up to you. You can show us here, or after the class or during the class, you can show us here, or you can email me as soon as possible, because it defeats the purpose if you email me a bit late, because then you don't have much time trying to do any revision, like amendments to it. So I think better if you have anything to show me, you guys show me as soon as possible, like next week or something like that. Okay, or today, even better, then we can sort of like online face-to-face let you know what are the issues and all that. All right, let's get started of the class. Okay, everybody has already clocked in now. There's 14 people here on my list, so I will off this one first, huh? And let me share my screen this time. Oh dear. All right, I think my screen is is actually shown. Okay, right. Actually, we have finished. I mean, like more or less, we have already finished the major portion of our syllabus. Anything that you need to do, your assignment, your project, and all that, we have already gone through with you. So today is really some bits and pieces of tying up the loose ends in the way, things that I feel like is something to emphasize on before we actually close up for the SAM actually. Okay, and one of them being quality management. The other day, when we did quality management class, we actually did a physical class, and some people could not attend on that day during the physical class. So I also did not want to sort of like go, complete everything, because that means that, like that those people completely miss out. Because for physical classes, we normally don't record the lecture at all. Okay, this is to encourage people to attend physical classes. We cannot say it's a physical class and then we still do recording for you, and then after that then you go back and listen to it, so is like defeat the purpose or the idea of a physical class. Okay, so normally you realize that if there's no physical classes, like a non-physical classes, normally the lecture will give they will record the lectures and post the lecture up for people to listen back again, because that is under what we call online class, you see. So for physical classes, we normally don't encourage to do that, because if we do that, then I think how many students will actually turn up for the physical class? Probably none, you see, because they will all be waiting for the recording. And then what's the point of calling for a physical class when nobody attends, you see? So yeah, so let's be respectful towards each other in that sense, huh? So on that day itself, when we cover quality management, we actually went to talk about QP, QA, and QC. You see, QP, QA, QC is part of a quality management system. Okay, and we did mention that to do quality management is not an easy. It's really not an easy. Out of all the management, project management. Out of all the areas to be managed in project management, quality is the most difficult, because quality has a tendency to be a little bit more subjective, and we have not been able to engineeringly or scientifically make quality totally a number, okay, an objective number. So therefore, it is a difficult thing to manage. Okay, it's a lot more difficult because of the subjectivity that is attached with the with this area. Okay, and now we talk about how in the industry we are typically using PQP. Okay, the section part 2 of the notes, quality management, project quality management 2. This bit here, these notes here are generally focusing on how you all as project manager in the future, you can set up your quality management system. Okay, a system basically means that there is processes within the system. Okay, there are procedures within the systems that requires the project team to actually follow very closely to execute that system, so that the product comes out of that system is within the within the idea that you want it to be, the standards that you want it to be, you see. So it's not so far out from what you expect, because we mentioned that for quality it is very it is difficult because people, it's always difficult to communicate the idea of quality to various people, in the project, and it needs a lot of commitment from different levels of people for you to be able to execute it out, you see. And mainly, if you have a process, I think one of the major things is the communication of that systems to the people that is using the systems can be difficult. And traditionally, we like to base it on specification, and then this few past 10-15 years, we start to talk about project quality plan. Okay, and then and then we kind of like stop there in a way, like we didn't move much forward from there. So is PQP a good QM for construction industry? I think the idea is good. The idea is not bad, but I think personally, I think I've mentioned this in class, that it is not very good if you ask your contractor to come up with the PQP. Like which contractor in their right mind would want to write in detail to actually bind themselves down, to hold themselves down with so many limitations? Because the more you write, the more limitations you're going to have, you see. So we really wouldn't, I mean, if me, logically, any person with a lot of logic would try to make it as simple as possible, and then that kind of defeats the purpose, you see. But then if the consultant write, I think the people who design, of course, should be the one that write it up, and then to be parted with the part and parcel of the tender documents. I think that would make more sense. But unfortunately, a lot of consultants nowadays, because of the fees and because of the price war between consultants, because of the client in a way are not really respecting the work of consultant and not paying them well enough, I think many of these things are not really being executed as well. So it would be an extra documents, which I think most consultants would not want to touch, you see. So basically, designers are the one that reads and study the client's requirement, the client's mind, and then what is the requirement from the client, what is it that they can accept, what is it that they're looking at, and you translate that into your scope of the product, and then scope of the project, scope of the work, scope of works, to execute, to be executed, to be fulfilling that scope of the product, see? So to fulfill the product breakdown, okay? Then there are the ones that have to do the design and convey that design to the contractor. So when contractor arrive in at that time to quote for the project or to tender for the project, in fact, they basically need to quote according to whatever that is being asked of them. It is like it is like we go to a restaurant. Okay, we go to a restaurant. The chef and the restaurant team are the one that produce the menu. You see, and then when you put the menu out to the people, I mean, when you put the menu out to not when you put your menu out to the waiter and waitresses who actually help you to take orders, they are the I mean, these people are the ones that in the orders, you see. So they don't design the menu, you know, they don't design the food quality. They don't design what kind of level the chef is going to cook. But you need to give them enough of information so that they can convey that to the customers and say that, okay, this is going to be like this, it's going to taste like this, you know. If you are expecting it to be less spicy, more spicy, what do you mean by spicy? So you've got this middle layer of people who is going to be executing and closing that deal, which in our case would be the contractors, you see, like they are the one that will receive the menu from the designer, and they are expected to follow that menu to finish the job for the client, you see. So it is very difficult when you don't have a very clear picture of when you don't exactly have a clear picture of what you're supposed to build, you see. So I think these whole systems of PQP, it is a very novel, it's a very good idea, but I think there is still some room for execution improvements and all that. And we mentioned that, you know, using PQP is like a tool. You see, there are many QMS quality management system available around the world, and I'm sure your own organization also have your own QMS systems. If I go to Sarah Energy, for example, I go to some bigger firm with a lot of projects, for example, they essentially do have their own way of controlling and monitoring work and quality and do rectification works and all that. So it is available. It is available. It's just the effectiveness of those systems. Can it be improved? You know, can it produce items that are not perfect, I would say, but at least within the tolerance limit that is set by the designer, for example. Okay, so a PQP, like I say, is a tool. Okay, so we need to understand the concept of QMS. So every QMS, you must have a planning. You know, you must have planning system. So what do you plan? You plan for your resources, you plan for the quality of your resources, you plan for the skills, the labor that is needed, you know, the material standard, what is the material that is required, what are the kind of concrete grades, you know, and what sort of standards that you are looking at when you purchase the concrete, what sort of standards you're looking at when you're purchasing the steel bars, you know, the formwork, etc., etc. So, and of course, inside the PQP, you also would need to look at the work processes as well. So to come up, to have a good quality product is not only one thing. You know, one thing does not make a lot of difference. Okay, it's the bits and pieces put together that you will see the difference in the whole picture. Okay, so material is definitely one of them. Okay, material is definitely absolutely one of them. It's just like, you know, I'm telling you to cook me a 5-star great Michelin dish, but I'm giving you something that is pretty rotten in the first place, you know, like a bit of an egg that is already 2 weeks old, veggie that is already withered, you know. I mean, I don't think there's going to be much of a chance the chef will create a miracle out of that, you see, and give you a Michelin 5-star dish, you see. Even if they do, then it will be their skills that will be the one that is really like making up for all the not so good, you know. So material is definitely one thing, you know. So material is like, whatever is good is good. You cannot deny that, you know. It's like good materials, higher grade, they are good, you know, they are better. It's always when you come to the money bit to balance out the money bit, that quality will have to sort of like take a little bit of a back seat, or you have to compromise, or you have to look for something that is good value, meaning that the performance, the material qualities are not that bad, not poor, it still can do the same job, but it's at a lot cheaper prices. So that can be an issue, and sometimes we may not get something exactly what we want, but the prices is way too attractive for us not to go for it. Is this so? Then we always compromise. There's always a balance between cost and quality. Okay, so yeah, so material is definitely one of them. So your P2P, you must plan for your material. You must think about material. You must think about workmanship. You must think about what kind of labor you want to use, what kind of skills, what kind of what kind of education level that they must have, or what kind of training that these people must get, and how can they handle it. You see, so machinery is definitely one thing as well. Again, a good chef with a good material, without a good machine, you don't have a big fire walk, you don't have a good you don't have good equipment, it's difficult. It's very difficult, to make something good, you see. So equipment, machineries is definitely needing a lot of thoughts, if you look at material. If you look at quality. So normally what we do is with our work breakdown in the P2P, when you're drawing out your P2P, what you can do is you look at your work breakdown structure. Very practically, you can look at your work breakdown structure. And then you look at, because you've done costing, correct? You've done costing for material, labor, machineries, etc., etc. So, it's all being mapped out quite nicely already in that Excel worksheet. So in the same worksheet, you will start to look into the quality of the material. In the exact same worksheet, you can look at the quality of the material involved, and then see material, labor, or machineries involved, and see if you need to do some price adjustments to the final costing work, the detailing work of the costing. So when every item that you look at, every work breakdown that you've already mapped, I'm going to use 2 general workers, I'm going to use 1 carpenter, I'm going to use 1 lorry and 1 mobile crane, and then I'm going to use grade 35 concrete. So you think you've already got this all lined up. It already translated into money. Okay, you've got all your rates, everything is calculated already, it's all there. So what you need to do now is you look at the standards that you want to apply onto the resources, okay, and what kind of standards of material. So if it's really expensive, you may have up your costing a little bit, up your rate a little bit, or maybe you can get alternative that is a lot cheaper, then you push down the costing bit as well. And then for your machinery, labor, and all that is the same. Okay. And of course, it's a very important bit that, so this is the thing that is a very practical way that we can execute our quality management systems. Our quality planning in that sense. Then after that, what you can do is other important elements is a work process. So the work process itself is about the steps you take. A lot of things are actually have to be step by step. Whether it's cooking, whether it's sewing, whether it's baking, whether it's driving, whether it's learning a new skills, learning a new language, or building a new product, or designing a new handphone, whatever it is, procedures, work process, work procedures, work method statement is essential. Okay, some things cannot be hurried. Some things have to be slow. Something cannot be compromised. Some things have to be the way it is. So some steps have to be taken. You cannot skip steps. It's just like, pretty sure we are old enough, like how to cook a dish of vegetable. So sometimes, when we're in a rush, we say, you open your fire pick lah, cepat masak kasi dia kan, So you open up your fire pick, and then you, like bakar everything, correct or not? Instead of being faster, being, cutting out of time, you end up destroying the whole thing, correct or not? Yeah, you have that experience. Same thing here. other steps, like if you need 30 minutes, you need 30 minutes. If you need 40 minutes, you need 40 minutes. If you need to put in what first, you must put in what first. If you add in this, then next add in this one, and how many minutes later you do the other one, that's a standard process here. Okay, those standard procedures, okay, is very important. Okay, and you as a project manager who are in quality management, you cannot not look after this aspect, you see. And obviously, if there are compromises that needs to be made, for example, time, okay, so instead of using 30 minutes, but I do not have that kind of time, then what can you do? You can do is you can employ someone there, stand there and look after it for you while you go out. Okay, or ask your husband, ask your wife, ask your kid to look after the stove, maybe. Yeah. The same thing is you may need extra hands, you may need extra people, extra management. Yeah, because you cannot hurry the process. Or you have to use better machineries. Go and buy yourself a pressure cooker. Kan? Then that one is faster already, you dump everything in, 15 minutes, out, everything is done, you can go out, you see? So compromises are made all the while. For any projects, for any project manager, it's about balancing, it's about that, it's about fulfilling the requirement of the project and try to make everybody happy, try to make time, cost, quality all happy with one another. Okay, but you need to discern what you can compromise. You need to discern what you cannot compromise. You need to discern what you can do to close both eyes, or you can, you can compromise by closing one eye. Some things you can be flexible, some things you can be flexible. Okay. And say, yeah, engineers never encourage you to be a project manager. I never encourage you to take engineering management. Why? Because your technical is not strong enough. Your technical has to be so strong. You have to work in the technical side for at least 5, 8, 10 years while your technical foundation is very strong. And then when you come to management, why do I say that? Because when you come to management, you are more daring when it comes to decision making. You have more confidence when it comes to decision making. You know what you can compromise. You know what you can give. You know what you must hold on to. So quality management is not fully strict in the sense that follow the specs. You must do it like this. But if you must do it like this all the time, do you have enough of the budget to cover for that kind of level of, control? So it's a matter of trying to balance all the time. Okay. So what method is definitely one thing that you need to plan in your quality planning. Okay. So you've got a few aspects here already, the few major aspects: method, material, machinery. Okay. Method, material, machinery, material, method, manpower, machineries. Okay. So that's dealing with workmanship, dealing with material, dealing with the processes, dealing with the state, the way that you're going to do the job, the processes, and then the method, and then the labor, the machineries. If you all understand this picture very clearly, you create that picture very clearly. Okay, we do expect that all these processes is already in place. The whatever product that comes out should be okay. It should be within certain, within the tolerance limit. Okay, I mean, like, it's not out of that. It's not an outlier. It will be within whatever standards that you are looking at in the first place. Okay. So before we can even go to that, expecting that to be fully okay, in the planning stage, you also need to, another elements that you need to look into will be your testing, your commissioning, your your testing, and then your checking. Okay, so this bit here, you must plan to do what sort of whole point. Okay, so you need to plan the checking. It's like, you know, when you travel from one place to another place, you go through a few checkpoints. So you must set your checkpoints. When material comes, is there a checkpoint? When your laborer do some work, what is a checkpoint? Yeah. When the machinery is working on it, do you stop it and check the machinery every 5 hours, every 2 hours? You know, where is your checkpoint? You must know your checkpoint. You must design that checkpoint. Okay. So once you design the checkpoints, you also will design what sort of checking. Correct now. Checking means that some things you may use visual. Some things you may ask for certificates, you know, certificates from certified government organization like SIRIM. Okay, you may ask for random testing. Huh? You may ask for opening up, meaning that you randomly ask the contractor to open up certain things for you to take a look. Okay, but opening up is a very sensitive thing. So if those things are covered up already and you want to ask for opening up, that could be an issue. Okay, so that one we will cover later on. Now we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Right. So yeah. So what else? So yeah. So checking. So yeah, you know, like some things you ask for certification, you ask for birth cert, you ask for invoices of where they purchased the material from, so that you make sure that it is not from, you know, not smuggled material from, you know, some places that do not have any good work process or certifications, you know, like some maybe for Africa or something like that, you know. And so you want to get certification. Like if you buy things from China, you want them to give you certification that is actually their government base of certification. And you know, China is very funny one. Sometimes they have like, you know, they have the national ones, which they call the country one, the country level laboratory. So that one is what they call 国检. You know, like they actually have their own country-based kind of organization laboratory. So those testings are usually very expensive and they're very detailed as well. So if you're certifying those sort of standards of testing, then you need to specify that. You see, otherwise, most there are also laboratory based on their province, like a Sarawak-based you know, or KL Selangor-based So they have their own, like Guangzhou based you know, more the northern Beijing based Shanghai based you know, something like that, province based. So province based normally, they are also government agency, you know, but how detailed they are are usually a lot less detailed compared to the national ones. You see, so it depends on what you really want, you know, what is important and how much you believe in the testing report and all that. So, but no matter what, we must at least go for you know, a province-based or the state-based kind of testing. Not even if you don't go for the national ones, you have to go for at least state-based one. Yeah. So, but it has to be government-based. So if you specify that, so in your when to check, you also need to know what and what is it that you are marking as pass, what is it that you're marking as fail, you see? All right. So yeah, so overall, you need to, yeah, so these are what we call planning. So you plan your checkpoints, you plan your requirement for testing, for checking, or you can plan it for random testing, you know, or you can, or some people may say you buy products from outside, but then you want to do a local testing. Like let's say you bring it to Malaysia and test, and then so that means your testing will be based on Malaysian standards, then or localized standards, or you can use maybe come here in the lab here to do commissioning, or you can fit it in certain part of the project to see how it performs. So this is all part and parcel of the planning. You need to plan for all these things, you see, not just sit there and write facts. Doesn't work that way. So that's why I always say use a flow chart, draw out a flow chart. Okay, coming up with a flow chart is very good. In the flow chart, it's a very simple way of listing down your work process, your WBS, your work process, your material, under each work process, what sort of material, machinery, labor that you are requiring, and under the under the whole flow chart, which point is a checkpoint, and if fail, how, why is it fail, what do you mean by fail? If it fail, you need to do what as a plan B. If it pass, you go on to the next following flow, you see? So it is in part 2 of the notes, I gave you some example of flow chart, okay? So that can be done that way. All right. So then when we come to this sort of testing and all that, the last important point is documentation and communication. So how do we document and communicate these things? You see, we may have a very good plan, but in the end, it's not communicated to the workflow, to the flow people, yeah? So then the execution is not done, okay? Then, or, you in your documentation, you fail to communicate, or you communicate, but who is to collect the results and who is to monitor, and how to monitor, how to document that monitoring, how to store this data and retain this knowledge is a lot of time missing in our project. And the thing that I mentioned just now earlier on, the 2P, the 4 M's plus the checkpoint plus the testing plus the all these things is actually quite, you all know about it, you see, you all know about it. It's a matter of how in the end you communicate your plan, yeah? And then how do you do the documentation? How do you have so many paperwork and so many data to keep, and who is going to make sense of that data? Okay, so essentially, quality assurance is about how well you do the monitoring, how well you communicate this plan to the floor people, to the people who are actually doing the work. And then after that, how do you keep that documentation? How do you read those data and then study those data that is returned back to you, the statistics and the data that is returned back to you, and that there is a problem, or you can say that, okay, this is looking pretty okay, everything is 90% well, the other 5%, yeah, we're doing some rectification work. So far, everything is going on the right track. So that is the part that is a lot of time missing in our industry. See? And the moment we make it a very manual base, we engage engineers, we engage part of works, we engage RE, and these people are being placed with that responsibilities to actually execute these sort of things. But because of the level of work that they have on site, running around and all that, communicating with people and going to meetings, and then solving problems. So a lot of time they don't have time to sit down and arrange this data. Of course, we can always get a project coordinator who is office-based to actually compile this data. Again, it has become very tedious, very long processes. It needs people to digest those information, to look at those information. So this is a part that is not so great, but quality assurance is about, you keep a good documentation, you keep a good communication. You can see that, your plan for testing, your plan for checking, there is someone who is out there executing that plan, and then that data is collected, and then monitoring is done very well. It is still on page 1. Thank you, Gina. It's still on page 1. I'm just recalling what I've been trying to recall for the part 2 lecture. Yes, sorry. It is on page 1 today. I'm not moving. I'm just talking, actually. Yeah. Right. This is already in your part 2 notes. I'm just doing some recapping work here for people who did not attend the class the other day. Okay. So, yeah. So then the last bit is about control. You see, QA and QC, ladies and gentlemen, QA is not about ISO. It's not about buying and management systems. It's about monitoring. It's about execution. It's about strictly executing the work. It's about planning to check and actually checking. And then that QC that we're looking at is control, not checking. Control is bringing things back to its original position. You have to hold it back to its original position. It's not about, oh, I'm going to start, look, CC. It's not like that. Control is not checking. Checking belongs to QA, it's not QC. Okay? QC is you have a lot of data that is output from your QA. Then from there, you see, oh, the problem always happen in the morning, because I don't feel well every morning from 8 to 10. So then the data shows you from 8 to 10 for the past 5 days, for the past 1 month. The monitoring work shows that your heart faster, you get a lot of wind in your stomach, you don't feel well from that time. But somebody needs to read this data and say that, hey, how come this complaint always come in during this time? How come these issues always comes in whenever that machine is working, or whenever that group of people is working, or whenever that contractor is working, or whenever that subcontractor is working, or whenever that that guy is working, or whenever we call for this whenever we call for certain brands of concrete, or we call for certain brands of pipes, you see? So that's how you detect the problem. Okay? So it's not that you have to look at it and say that something is not right here. There's a pattern that is not right here, and we need to rectify that. If your QC. So QC has QC tools like histogram, like Pareto method, like scattered diagram, like fishbone diagram. Those are all tools for you to go down to the root problem, or to see patterns in your problem, so that you can resolve it and make it a better process. Go back again and replan, recut, remonitor, and then come back again to see if there's any improvement. So that is QMS. Everybody's, like in the future, if you're in charge of quality, you must create this QMS. You must have this QMS. Then the product that comes out from your QMS systems, from your management, so you can call it Seoul's quality management system. You can call it Gina's quality management system. Who needs to call it ISO? Who needs to call ISO? ISO is just basically documentation. Okay? It's documentation. It's like a brand. The brand that has proven to actually do well, teach people how to document, teach people how to keep data, teach people how to read data. These are the things that has been used many times, proven many times. So there is a quality assurance to it. It's a quality assurance tool. It's just like I say, why some people, like when you buy t-shirt, it can be 5 ringgit, but the same t-shirt that looks like the same t-shirt can be sold for 50 ringgit, okay, or even 500 ringgit. Why? Okay, you need to prove yourself better and better and better and better. You need to have quality assurance. That brand, that QMS that you have actually should represent something. It should be represented by good work at the end of the day. So if it's represented by a project that is well executed, the client is happy, wow, so that has become your first reputation. And then you go back and improve on your QMS, and then you do another project, you have another reputation that is coming up. So your book piles out. When your book piles up, people will look for you. I want this person to be my QM manager. So that's why you see some developers out there, they have better houses, they have better quality houses. People, when people they open up the market to sell their houses, when they even hear their name, they're like, oh yeah, that guy, let's go and take a look. Their houses are usually quite good, or their houses are actually good value. And there are some developers, their houses are just basically so if you want, you go to them. Yeah. So that means the mission, the direction of your organization must be clear. You cannot talk about quality. You cannot say that I have good quality when you don't have all these things in place, you see. It's not possible. Yeah. So we all know some restaurants are very expensive, some makeups are very expensive, some handbags are very expensive, ladies, some handbags are so expensive. Why? Because they have their own specific set of systems, they have their own brand, they have their own mark, so these are the things that they are selling that. So when they're selling that, you have to know what are they really selling, you see. So then but of course, when we talk about branding and all that, there are other elements to it. It's not only about the actual thing really having quality. Okay. But what I'm trying to say is these are associated with one another. So that system is being built up, and then after that, you start to sell that system. We have this, our things are handmade, resources for the best leather, we resources for the best material in the industry, the top layers of pearls comes to us, we the top layers of the world pearls all come to my company. This is all that QMS, okay, it's built up. It has to start from practical. QMS, you have to have that QMS. The process has to be very clear. And then you start to sell your system. And when you start to sell your system, how can you sell your system? Because you have got some good products, you've got good history. So in the first place, it's always when you have nothing, when you have no reputation, when you have nothing going on, this is the first time you're doing it, you need to have a good system. And then that good system produce something good. And then you start to sell. Oh, my system is very good. My system is like this. You see the things that we do is so good. You see the camera that we do is really nice. The car that we do is really fantastic. So the reputation builds up. And then you start to sell the system. So it becomes your selling point. Because you have got good product to prove your system. Yeah. So this is like a looping thing. It's like that's why quality management is a looping. It's like a continuous improvement. It's like a cycle. Get better and better. It's supposed to get better and better, not rolling down, not rolling off the hill. It's supposed to be rolling up the hill. So then after maybe a few 10 years, 20 years, it becomes a brand. And that brand is what we say assurance. Oh, I don't need to worry. I buy from this guy. I buy from this brand. I normally have no problem with this. Okay, I will close my eyes and muscle and trust that person. So again, towards the end, assurance means trust. Assurance means confidence. Assurance means that you are close your eyes, also you will choose it. Correct or not? Yeah. So that is a good quality management system. So the underlying concept here is TQM. Okay, TQM is one of the most basic concepts that we actually use to execute this. Okay, there are lean constructions. There are things like Six Sigma, there are Kaizen, TQM. So M essentially is a concept. Yeah, it's a concept. It's a concept that warns you that if you want to do if you want to have good quality, you must have a proper approach. You must have an approach. It is a unique approach. Okay, and it's people oriented. That's why I apply TQM. I always like TQM in construction. Simply because it's people oriented. We are very people oriented. You see, we are not some machine oriented, like mechanical manufacturing. Some of them are very mechanical, or they're very machine oriented. And we are also customer focused. But as a professional, we cannot be too customer focused as well, because our role is to advise the customer. Our role is not to say the customer wants A, we must give A++. It's not like that. Okay, so the nearest concept that we have to construction, I myself think, is TQM. So that's why I believe that you should learn about TQM. so that you can have a foundation concept when you're designing your QMS, you see. So these systems here reminds us that, you know, it's not about facts, it's not about processes, you know. It's a lot, it's this consideration here. It's a management system consideration, the technical system consideration. So a lot of times for us in engineering, especially construction, we like to focus on very technical, very statistical method for QA and QC. But in fact, it is really, you need to also bring in other elements that we fail to look at, such as the management commitment from the top management, the employer involvement, the employee implementation, the floor people, is our site workers and all that. Then it's a combination of both in the sense. It's a management and a technical with consideration of money economics. Okay, so yeah, so TQM is talking about there's a few things that we need to look into. That means you're supposed to have a very good concept of like the passion of doing quality. No, it's not just top quality. You must really think in that direction. You must be committed in that direction. You must be really passionate about your work. You know, it's, you know, a lot of times it's difficult. It's difficult. Sometimes we just yeah, you know, cannot lah, you know, like just compromise a little bit lah, huh? So that is normally what we want. And then people who actually want to do that perfect work is called perfectionist, and that perfectionist is being tagged with very not so nice. How come so perfectionist one lah, you lah? Cincai lah, you know, close one eyes lah. Nobody can be perfect lah. I believe that nobody can be perfect, but at least we try our best, you know, to be an A, you know, to be 85, you know, to be 90, to be 80, you know, or worst come to worst, get an A minus also can why not? You know, why do you want to target 50 in the first place? You see, what's the point? You see? So we want to target high, we want to do a good job, we want to be passionate about our work, you know, we want to deliver good product to our customers, unless your company's concept, your company's direction, your company's mission is we want to do cheap. What's wrong with that? If the world don't have cheap things, a lot of us will die. Okay? Nobody can afford every day good, best, big, huge. Huh? True or not? We need to have cheap things too. If your concept is to do cheap things, yeah, to do price value things, yeah, with that level of quality, as long as that level of quality is being communicated very clearly to the people and attacked with the right pricing, it shouldn't be an issue. All right, now, there's many houses that is selling for 1 or 2 million MED, but why are there some that is selling for 200,000-300,000? But when you buy a 200,000-300,000 or 400,000-500,000 MED, okay, there's a compromise. Number one, definitely the location. Number two, could be the ground condition, the surrounding of the area. Number three, basically, the quality of the wood, the material, everything is not there. You only have 200,000-300,000. There is a market for that. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so I'm not saying that you must do quality because we can't. Yeah, there is a compromise here. There is a money consideration here, but you must know where you are going. You know, you must know what you want. You must know in the end what sort of reputation that you want to create. What do you want people to see you as? What do you want your peer to see you as? Okay. You want to be a developer that the name throughout already is high class, or the name throughout is that one cheap one, definitely cheap one. You go to buy from them cheap. Why is there so many products on Shopee, Lazada? Yeah, some with different prices and all that, because there is different market for things. Yeah, so it must be matching. We don't give people product that is that price but a lot lower in terms of performance, in terms of usage, in terms of what. Yeah, so if I choose to buy a $10 fan, compared to the other fan that is 100 ringgit, well, I have to kind of expect that. I probably cannot, I should not expect that the moment it arrived, it never worked, you see, so that shouldn't be the case. But at least it arrives, it works for 10 times and it goes rosak. Well, I suppose this is the kind of quality that I have. It's fine, we pass, next time I'll get a better one, you see. So again, that is a balance. So that's why the customer orientated bit in TQM, that is something that you all have to watch out for, especially civil engineers. Who doesn't know big is better? Correct or not? Ladies here that tells me, any ladies any or men when you want to buy a diamond ring for your wife or girlfriend, okay, will any one of them say that I want smaller one? Huh? Any one of you want smaller ones? Girlfriends go for bigger better, isn't it? Huh? Siapa mau kecil punya? Nobody. So any client, in our industry, definitely want good quality. Okay, definitely want good quality. Who doesn't want to stay in a big house? Who doesn't want? I mean, like, unless there's other reason, like, you don't have you don't want to clean up and all that. With the amount of money that you have, you want the best. That is very, very common. Okay, that is human being. That is the right logic. Right logic. That's logical. So again, for quality, for us, the word in TQM about customer orientation, the main point is you need to meet the mind of the customer, meaning that you must understand what they want. Then you advise accordingly what they can have and what they can't have. It's just that today, I'm not sure if I tell you this example. I'm asking somebody to do some cabinets for me in my house. Okay, and one guy quoted me 4,700. Another guy quoted me 7,200. 4,700 and 7,300. This is almost the numbers, you see. So it's very natural. I mean, like, when they come, they meet my mind. I'm the client. I talk to them. Okay. I say, this is the design I want. This is the kind of material I want. So there's a difference in two persons quoting. Okay. So we cannot assume that, the other guy is overcharging me. Let's find out why is he quoting 7.3. The other one is quoting 4.7. Yeah. So then, after talking to the other one, okay, when this is very common in tender, correct? Now, I mean, some of you are working for government agency, in tenders, still are very cheap. It's $4,007. I mean, 4,700 guy actually was quoted to me previously, and he could not deliver. And this person who quoted me 7.3 just came in with the quotation today and gave me 7.3. So I told him and her, these people, I said, I don't think I can accept that, because 7.3 and 4.7 is a big, huge difference. Even though 4.7, there may be something wrong with 4.7 and therefore they cannot deliver. But do you think you can actually reduce the price? Because I can actually, or you can, do the design in a separate way. I asked them to actually re-look at the design and see if they can maybe reduce certain cabinets or make certain parts thinner, so that the price can go down to maybe 5.8, which is a little bit higher than my previous 4.7, which in the first place could be a wrong price already, and therefore that guy didn't deliver. Okay, so maybe I said 4.58, and that person was very fast, and then he said, okay, I will take a look. He said, so this is our job as a client, as an engineer. Okay, as an engineer to our client, we must meet their mind. That is what we mean by customer orientated. Yeah, we meet their mind. But it's not about agreeing to whatever they're saying. It's just that my renovator cannot say that, oh, just because I asked for 5.8, they say yes, but they cannot deliver how? We must understand, what is the client willing to compromise. So our thing is to advise them. in the end, it's about their satisfaction. In the end, they must be happy. What is what we're targeting at? Because whoever grades quality, it will be the client who's going to grade the quality. Your work, your quality. So that is customer orientation. I mean, I think I put down the notes here. The customer focus is the next thing. Huh? Then, of course, with that, the target, the standards, you design accordingly, but you need the commitment of the top people. Management commitment is leadership in quality is very important. Okay, so this is a very important point that there will be a long-term focus, because quality is about training, is about money, is about mindset change, is about being willing to pay more, and all that. So there must be some form of commitment from top management. Okay, then there must be quality culture in your company. That the culture that I was saying, if it's nothing wrong with selling cheap, not selling more, selling cheap. Okay, but you must know your culture. You must know your identity. You must know what is your company's identity, and then you must have that culture. Yeah, and that is seeped through the entire organization for it to be able to work. Okay. So, and then what else? You also need to have a commitment from the floor people, the people who are actually focusing on the work itself. It's just that so many times, we are committed, our management are committed, but when we go to site, these people are not committed, and then they are not really they are not really, doing things that they're supposed to be doing, and therefore the work comes up kalang kabut. They cut things the balik, they make it shorter, a lot of work are not concrete, are not poured properly, also leave a lot of honeycomb and all this sort of things. So, it gives a lot of work rectification. Again, you cannot be 100%. We can target high, we can target more, but we don't want to stress out ourselves by saying that, everything has to be perfect, because workers cannot be perfect, human being cannot be perfect. So there must be a good system attached to quality, and then our focus is to do process. That's not our focus, is the process. In the focus is in the process. That everybody focus on the process. You have the rubrics, you have the flow chart, you have the things that you have all the data that you need to communicate and collect from the floor, or the communicate through the floor people. This has to be very clear. And then once that process is there, normally the product that you do should be of certain level of quality that you set up to do. Okay, so this is what we meant by quality management. Okay. So yeah, so that is my take on quality management. Is there any anything you want me to sort of beef up a little bit on quality? If not, then we finish quality. Okay, we completely complete our quality management lectures already. Okay. Okay. No questions at all? No questions at all? Okay, let's take a very short break, 5 minutes, okay? I'll just go to the toilet for a while, and then we'll come back and we will finish up on procurement. And then the last bit is I'll brief you on exams, okay? Okay, come, let's finish up. All right. I will stop sharing my screen now, okay? Because the things that I'm going to say later on is basically it's not really part of the notes lah, huh? It's just that the other day when we talked about last week when we talked about procurement, the overview of procurement, and then I gave you guys a lot of recordings actually about 445 or something like that. So it's about 130 or 140 minutes of recording, and it's about tendering, it's about contract type, it's about procurement strategies and all that. So we went through all that, and I believe you have gone through it yourself as well. Essentially, I think it's very important for you to really listen back to those recording. Don't like I said, I've always said to you, don't kid around. Don't push your luck. Don't push your luck. I mean, you guys are paying money to come here to study. I wouldn't want to push your luck. I mean, I wouldn't want to push your luck because no matter what, even though it's a commercial program, compared to commercial programs from private universities, unimas do not entertain students as much as you think they will, okay? And like for example, CGS, Center of Graduate Studies, many times the faculty do still want to help the students, to appeal or to appeal or to help the students to talk to CGS and all that. But because the university not only have engineering master's program, there is about I think 15 or 20 programs that is from different faculty. Engineering alone, there's about 5 commercial program. So honestly, the whole university does not bend rules for certain departments or certain faculty. So registration dates, graduation dates, the documents that you send, and then the appeals, the graduating marks, the entry marks, all these things. There is a formal system to it, which is very difficult for them. They will not bend it, put it this way. And I agree with that as well, because this costs considerably. You get in is quite easy. 2.5 CGPA, in fact, is very easy. But to get out, it's not easy. So getting 3 CGPA is not exactly that easy in that sense. To some people, no problem. All the way through, they are like quite easy peasy for them, but not everybody, you see. So passing through with a 3, passing every semester with more than a 3, getting passing mark 60 and all that, these are all requirements, so very difficult. So please, by all means, don't push your luck, And your exam, okay, before I shouldn't talk about exams first. Later, one shot, we talk about exams, okay? Exam schedules and all that. We will talk about that in a short while. All right, so today I'm just going to finish. Like I've gave you the recording. Please go back and finish up listening to the recording. Anything that you do not understand, please come back and talk to me or Dr. Lee. We are always here by email. And you don't want to see us, never mind one. You can email us one. It's not an issue, okay? If you're so scared of us, you don't even want to WhatsApp. Also okay one. Email is perfectly fine. As long as I normally will read my email like how many times a day, like maybe 5-6 times a day, unless it's really, really a very busy day. I only like scroll through it at the end of the day. Otherwise, normally I would just, weekend, I will just give it a scroll or two, once or twice every day actually. So the only thing is when we reply, it can be not so detailed, because no matter what, replying through writing and all that is different from talking to us face to face. So that's why I encourage you to present your assignments with us here on the screen, so that I can comment on it face to face with you in that sense. The comment will be a lot more detailed. Right. So procurement, we've gone through all the essential knowledge bit of procurement. And then this bit here, I think for me, is like an additional bit. It's like an additional bit that I am putting forward to you as a little bit of a bonus. It's about contract, because for those people who are sitting for engineering management in the other program, they have a task called legislative issues and contract management. So I think it's only fair that my students also get a little bit of that as well, right? So yeah, so we're going to shrink it down to 1 hour. So after you have signed, after you've been awarded a contract, an engineering contract by the client, okay, the coming up, the first thing is you need to set a date for signing. Okay, letter of award is letter of award. Then once you get the letter of award, you will eventually sign the contract. And in today's world, in today's civilized society, I don't think there's anyone who doesn't sign any contract at all. The only thing is maybe you don't bring it for stamping or bring it to stamping, but bring it to stamping, not stamping, they all have the same legal effect. It is a contract that is signed between two parties, you see, contracting party, after you meet the mind of one another. So then the issue is when does the project date start? Okay, the project date does not start until you get site possession. Okay, so in any contract, you need to confirm on the date of site possession. Even though you've already signed the contract, but you don't have site possession, the site is not being handed over to the contractor, the construction work cannot start. Okay, the construction work cannot start. So it's never the signing date of the contract. It's always site possession date. The site possession date is the starting date, right? Then we will also have once the date is confirmed, normally the following things that will come in will be things like performance bond, and also ensuing will be insurance. And insurance, normally, if you don't have site handing over, you cannot, once you hand over the site, and you possess the site, then you buy insurance, then you start work. If you buy insurance a lot later and you start work, okay, and something happened, let's say today is the 21st of April. Tomorrow is 22nd of April. This is your site handover date. And then your insurance, you did not complete the purchase until, say, 1st of June. And then in between now and then, you are actually uninsured. You see, the contractor is uninsured. So if there's anything happening on site, such as thefts, such as like disruptions, or anything or that requires claiming insurance, essentially you're not protected. So normally, we will encourage everybody to do work only after you've got the insurance. So you've got full coverage on the job. Okay, if somebody died, somebody chopped their fingers off, these are all covered under insurance. Okay, but obviously, whatever it is, insurance is only for the peace of mind. We all know that insurance people are very difficult to claim money one. You only think that insurance can make money one is you dream on. Yeah. Then so what happened is so that is the following things that will come out. You see, workmen's compensation and contractors' own risk. And you need to prepare a performance bond. And then you need to also confirm all this process is actually under procurement, because procurement, the half or 50% of procurement is about contract management. Okay. So you need to know what is in the contract. In your contract, if you're using PWD, if you're using JKR representative for a contract, you're using PAN form, you essentially need to know your stuff. And what I'm going to go through with you now is just basically what are the elements in a typical contract that you need to watch out for. Things that you need to take care, you need to look into. Yeah, don't be blur. Like you can be blur about a lot of things, but there are certain things in a contract you should not be blur. Okay. So one of them will be the site possession, the start date, and then the contract period will start from site possession all the way to the actual completion date that is stated in a contract. If it's 18 months, it's 18 months, it's 12 months, it's 12 months. So let's say your site possession date is 22nd of April, then next year, if it's 12 months contract, 21st of April, the contract will essentially finish, okay, for that. So yeah, then you also, within that concept, okay, there will always be issues like submission of working program. So one of the major clauses inside there is to make sure that you submit your working program, meaning that how you plan to work, okay? How you plan to work, normally I will always advise my client, that the client side is, you ask them to tell you how they plan to work. You can give suggestion, you can give advice, but you cannot fully interfere with what the contractor wants to do for their work. If you feel like their work is not going to be able to be completed, you have other means like LAD, to actually regain, to rectify the situation. But you cannot force the contractor to change their working program, as in, like, I don't want it to be that way, and you want them to change to the point that you are happy with that. I would normally advise against that, because that is about interference already. Contractor, if whatever contract period that they are given, however they want to work, is actually their business. It's the risk that they have to uptake. But you can warn them, it doesn't look good. If you don't fulfill this, later on, I can say, I don't want to give you extension of time, because your working program is lousy in the first place. And whatever working program you get submitted, even though you accept it, does not mean that you need to bear responsibility. So most contract will be written in such a way that the working program is actually submitted to the client and the SO. The SO, even upon approval of the working program, does not hold any responsibilities. So it doesn't mean that he approved it, means that he allows you to do that. Approved means that he has viewed it already, he's verified that you submit a working program, it's a reasonable working program, but the upfront risk is still completely with the contractor. Okay. Then so working program, and then of course the work will proceed on site. And then you need to worry about, very important thing is, don't have a delay. So if you have a delay, I think Cherry's now is one of the expert in delays already. So delays, what is delays? How do you manage delay? Yeah. So working program is very important, because it's how you map, how you plan to do your work. If you essentially have not do it properly, you're actually committing to a working program that is actually not correct in the first place. So it's difficult to fulfill the working program if you're planning wrong in the first place. You see, so what we normally do with the contractors, with the client, is to advise them: are you sure you can do it like this? Are you sure you have enough time to do it like this? Are you sure you have catered for inclement weather, which is going to happen at the end of the year, etc., etc., etc. So you can advise, you can give opinions, and all that. So then, if delay does happen, the first reaction will be to bring the schedule back to its original position. That should be the right way. It's not about EOT, it's straight away. It's about, how do I make the situation better? At the same time, parallel, if this situation is created by unforeseen circumstances or reasons that are allowed for the claim of extension of time, at the same time, you must write to the client and say that there is a delay, and therefore we reserve the claim, we reserve the right to actually submit our extension of time claim within the next 14 days or within the next 30 days. It depends on what is stated in the contract. But you must inform, normally they will ask you to inform the client first if a delay situation happens, that you need to claim your EOT later on. And many contractors does not realize that, so they will just be quiet and apply for EOT at the end of the project. They one shot. And like I say, even if I ask you what you eat yesterday, do you still remember? So please don't apply EOT at the end of the project. Nobody can remember what happened. Okay, and then at that time you want to go back and look for what weather report or chronological things. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. It's a lot more difficult. A lot of information will be gone. A lot of information will be lost. It's very logical. Information is dispersed, into other things. You see, so it's better you apply for EOT, whether you're going to use it or not later, it doesn't matter. You write in, you apply first, okay? Then there is reasons, different reasons is stated in the contract for you to allow EOT or not allow EOT. And then the assessments have to come from the superintending officers, and then through a proper assessment methods. Okay, so this is contractually how you handle delays. It's either you give the extension or you don't give the extension. Okay. All right. So but of course our first reaction will be, what can we do to make things improve? What can we do to not have delay? What can we do to bring situation back to its original position? So these are the first practical way of managing delays. Okay. Then of course we will relook at the schedule to see if there's any changes in the schedules. Okay. Or by replanning the schedules a little bit to maybe cut short on some of the works, to cut short on some of the parallel to make some activity parallel or semi-parallel in that sense. Yeah, so actually that is the first thing. Okay. And then of course at the same time, parallelly, we will at the same time also look into extension of time. Okay, extension of time. Okay. So yeah, I mean, like to apply for extension of time, and then to give or not give, that is contract matters already. So all engineers need to handle these matters contractually, learn to handle this matter contractually, and of course practically. Practically is things dealing with time. Contractually is dealing with procurement. Okay. So then if you're being granted an EOT, your time will be extended. If you're not granted an EOT, your time will not be extended. And if the time is up and you haven't finished your work, liquidated damage will be caught. That's very common. Okay. Then of course that is basically what, I'm going to be very brief about this. I mean, like these things that I'm talking about here is 5 classes.
Sorry, doctor, to interview. The screen didn't show any things.
No, because I'm just giving it as I don't have I don't have a full set of notes for this. Okay,
Oh,
so
I see.
yeah, so if you want a full set of notes, I can always message. I can always put it up for you guys, because full set of notes is four sets. Okay, 4 sets of notes covering all these contract matters. But what I'm giving you here is a short-term version, like a condensed milk version. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so just for
Thank
your
you.
knowledge, it's just for your knowledge. But it is a continuation from procurement now. So
Okay.
thanks for your reminder. No, I don't have the screen for that, but the notes, if you guys want to keep a stack of notes, I can give it to you via e-link. But I can tell you those notes are not examinable at all. Okay, it's not examinable at all, because this course is not contract management. My contract management classes was actually 5 classes, 5 LUs, 5 classes on contract management. So we're covering all these things in 15 hours, 15 to 18 hours. So this is like trying to cover this in 1 hour class. So
Oh, okay. Thanks.
So EOT, so EOT is something that you are looking at. This is something all engineers will be managing. Then of course, the other elements that also come in very closely with EOT is completion date. Completion date is marked by what we call certificate of the completion, CPC. Construction work completion is always marked by CPC. Okay. But development, a lot of developers would like to mark completion with OP. Okay. So when you calculate your time for a developer, a development project, make sure that the time that you're given has the element of OP inside it. Because for any construction project, it's supposed to be contractually for any construction project upon CPC, or certificate of credit commission, means that the SO and yourself, you declare that you finish your work, they come and check and look at it, and then after that, they will issue you with a certificate of completion. Then that is the stopping of the time. It's only when you receive that certificate of practical completion, your clock will stop and your defect liability will begin, you see. But for development project, like I said, developer likes to play with raw cert, or some even worse, OP. Okay, and the OP has an element of uncertainties because you are dealing with external authority. It's actually very unfair to deal with it from that perspective. Because, like I said, authority, they have to arrange for people to come up, take a look, they have to comments, they may, it's difficult to get everybody together at the same time. There's a lot of these sort of issues involved, and one visit to site may be like months before you actually do visit. So it's very difficult to actually assign that time in your schedule. But make sure that if you're working for a developer, as a contractor working for a developer or picking up development project, make sure that the time given to you for construction has already included obtaining of road cert and at least road cert. Okay, make sure that you have that. Otherwise, you may be in very deep trouble. Okay, because on the surface is you finish the work, but they haven't done the inspection yet, and that may drag on for 6 months or 1 year, or like then your time will be lapsed, and then you'll be charged with LAD. So something that I have to warn people on this. Then following on is CPC, and then of course you have you will close account, deferred liability will start, and then end of deferred liability is final completion. You actually have a completion, a full completion letter, whereby you can claim back your outstanding money and also your performance bond, and all that. You'll be released, completely released from your duties on site. Okay. In fact, upon CPC, most of the demobilization are done. You're only left with a few people on site trying to do the rectification work or trying to do the cleaning up work and all that. Like the demobilization and defect works. So, but defect work also have their own time period. That is normally the case. 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, depending on what is stated in the contract. So be very careful when you read contract. So then the other elements here that is dealing is money. Of course, money for us is interim claim. Interim claim, interim payment, interim certificates, interim claim. Pen ultimate claim, pen ultimate certificates, and pen ultimate payment. Final certificates, final claim, final certificates, and final payment. So these are three major terms in payment: interim or progressive, pen ultimate, and final. Okay, and of course, different contract will have different procedures, such as claim, what kind of process, what kind of procedures, how many days for SO to certify, and then how many days for SO to come up with the certification, and the certification needs to be signed by the contractor in agreement with whatever that is being certified. Claim is claim, certified is certified. Usually certified will be a lot less than claim, that is normal. Yeah, or if there's in very, very rare circumstances, you have done more and they give you back more. Okay, that would be a very nice client in the industry. Will be a very popular guy, but that doesn't happen very much. Then of course, you will go on and then the client has how many days to pay you. So for any project, any construction project, that would be normal circumstances. But not many of any contract actually state penalty if it's a late payment by contractor by client. What is the remedy for contractor? That is something that is pretty much missing in any contract here in Malaysia. That penalty, the interest, and all that is not stated at all. Okay, so whenever you have payment issues with the contractor, like the client not paying or late payment, not paying, non-payment, underpayment, all these things pretty much is very sided to the client in any contract. So there isn't much of a penalty or a processor or whatever. But now in terms of statutory, meaning that in terms of law, you can use SIPA with payment issues, meaning that SIPA Act 2012 is actually allowing settlement of payment issues using statutory manner, meaning that an act is actually not in the contract, but it's actually statutory. So you can refer to statutory. Whenever things are not in the statutory, you can refer to the contract. If it's not in the statutory, is bigger than contract. Okay. So whenever you draft your contract, it has to be based on statutory. So statutory is law, okay? Contract is part of contract law. So contract is like the umbrella under the statutory law, I mean the law there. Right? So there is a bit of a hope because the SIPA adjudication is also one way of going to claim back your money. But a lot of people like to go for suspension. Suspension is a very dangerous word to use in the form of contractor, because contractor cannot use the word suspending, because the moment you suspend your work, later on it will come back and bite you because you're not working diligently. You can say that, oh yeah, they're not paying me, or why I need to work. Even if they're not paying you, you need to continue to prove that they're not paying you, write to them, but you need to leave a few guys or one or two machines on site running around. Okay, you cannot completely suspend your work. It's very dangerous to do that. Okay, because once you suspend the work, there may be some delays later on, and that delays, they may not give you EOT later because you suspend the work. They don't say that because I'm not paying you and therefore I will give you EOT. No, they will say that, oh, you are the one that is to be blamed for all these things, and I will not give you the EOT, and then I will charge you LAD. So in the end, the money that you claim back, you have to pay them back in the form of LAD. So it's a very sneaky thing. So suspension should not come from the word of a contractor, because suspension is not statutory. There's nothing in this law that allows suspension, unless it's an MCO. It's a different thing, that one is statutory, mandatory in terms of the law to suspend the work on site. Other than that, you cannot do suspension unless the contract tells you you can. And the contract usually under statutory don't have. Under contract, yes, they may have on suspension, and that usually would be something that the client can do. And what do you mean by the client can do? In the event that the contractor is not performing, they are not responding to non-compliance order, they're not responding to quality issues, and they're creating a lot of big problem on site, then client can suspend the work. Okay. But suspension, there will always be a limit of time for suspension. You cannot forever suspending the work. Okay. And the other reason for suspension is external factor. There's like natural disaster, like volcano, flooding, all these things is suspension. But suspension of work in terms of any contract in Malaysia is very poor when it comes to recovery. Recovery means that there's no proper process or procedure set up in the contract that says that upon the ending of the suspension, when you want to recover and do back the project, how do you deal with lost expenses? How do you deal with EOT? How do you deal with damage that is done during the suspension? Okay, so that is something for us to think about actually. And yeah, so payment money, underpayment, there are things like provisional sum, contingency sum, retention money. Yeah, so prime cost sum. Do you guys know the difference between all of these things? Yeah. So I can quickly go through with you. Provisional is basically you give a rate first, but the quantity is not confirmed. So any contract can have provisional sum, okay, and that usually is part of the BQ, and the BQ can be everything up there is fixed. Like BQ can be rate, quantity, all fixed, okay, and then provisional is under that rate and quantity all fixed. There is one or two work that the quantity is not fixed, but the rate is fixed. So that means it's subjected to remeasurement. Whereas if it's a BQ contract, then only the rate is fixed or the quantity is not fixed. And that rate itself is different from the BQ rate, and also the schedule of rate is two different things. Okay, schedule of rate is like singular things, like rate for singular things, like 1 meter cube of concrete. Yeah, it's supposed to correspond with your BQ. It's supposed to, but you don't have to correspond with the BQ. That's why sometimes you must up the BQ, you get a tender, and then they will, in the schedule rate, they will do adjustments. Okay? So a lot of time BQ inside they put everything to be supply, delivery, excavation, blah, 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 blah. So they'll put one rate. But then in the schedule rate, it means that they'll say, okay, excavation, you're charging how much? No, it's not like, I shouldn't say that the client is trying to pay up the the rate in your BQ. It's not like that. It's just that they will singularly ask you to put in the rate of work, like one item by one item, in case they may need to cut or deduct something from your contract. They don't go and cut and deduct from your BQ. It's very serious, you see. They don't go and cut and add, based on BQ rate. They will add and deduct based on the singular. Because not everything is one goal. Sometimes it's only extra excavation, sometimes it's extra laying, sometimes it's extra something, some extra pouring, extra purchase of the concrete, extra manpower. So, you cannot put it the same. It's not the same thing. Okay, it's not the same thing. Supposing for every project, the contractor will be giving the schedule rate very closely to what he has already put up in his BQ, supposedly, but not, it doesn't have to be. Okay, it doesn't have to be. It can be a very close rate, but if you really add up the things that you have in the schedule rate, it probably does not tally with the BQ rate. Okay, it shouldn't tally normally. Okay, if it tallies, then you actually essentially telling everybody, what is your final card in that sense. Nobody do that. Okay, right. So yeah, I mean, like provisional sum is like the items that the rate, the quantity is not confirmed, but the rate is confirmed. Prime cost sums usually are the brand name not confirmed, the item itself not confirmed, but you want to use toilet bowl, so they will give you the price of a toilet bowl, but you cannot give a price. I mean, like they haven't give you like, okay, I want $4 toilet bowl, I want gold toilet bowl. It's not that yet, so there's no fixed. There's a description of what the item is, but they haven't fixed what exactly the quality or what exactly is the brand name and all that to it. So that is prime cost sum. Okay, it's a bit like provisional, but provisional is quantity. Quantity, not available. Whereby the quantity is agak one. Prime cost sum is just the specification, the thing that you want is available, but the actual item itself, where you're going to get it from and what brand, or it's not fixed yet, so therefore you have prime cost sum. So it usually happens with a lot of architectural work, like the doorknobs, the window, the fence, the aircon, the toilet bowl, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so those are not fixed. So then contingency sum there's always an issue with contingency sum because everybody's confused about contingency sum. There are some contractors, when they see the contingency sum, they say that that's their contingency sum. This is like my risk they take it as risk management sum. I mean, I was so shocked when I heard it the other day. They went in for a tender and was a contingency sum. Yes, you actually add up your final tender sum with the contingency sum. That will be the final sum, but everybody will put in that contingency sum. The contingency sum is a sum of money that the client actually planned to put aside in case there is some changes. It's for the client to execute changes. It's not for you as a contractor to execute and use the money. Okay, it's not for you to do risk management. I think for civil engineer, that is very easy to understand now. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us understand that here. But I actually heard, somebody actually talked to me and said, Dr. Ting, my contractor actually said that he must claim that contingency sum because it is his risk management. I was like, what kind of contractor you have over there? So rubbish, you see. So yeah, they were in this dispute, and they were asking, he's right. Contingency sum can only be used upon the client giving permission. Only the client can activate contingency sum. Otherwise, the payment inside there, everything has to deduct out contingency sum. Okay, right. So yeah, that was a funny story. So then other things are like what else? Payment money, and then retention. We know how retention usually 10% of the payment sum up to 5% of the contract sum. Okay. That is to retain the money. It's another safeguard for performance. Like if you don't perform, I'm going to get somebody else to do the work, and therefore I'm going to use the retention money. So that one is quite something that I think you all heard before. And then the third part is quality. Okay, quality issues. quality issues usually deals with instructions, okay? Instructions, um, um, sending supervision, okay? Opening up, testing, make good machineries, setting up. All these sort of processes are actually related to more to the quality, okay? In terms of instructions, there is a clause inside most contract that how much power is given to the SO to make instructions, and that instructions include many things. It can include opening up, meaning that they feel like your work is not done properly and they want you to open up. And that is a situation whereby, especially if the work requires standing supervision. Standing supervision means that somebody from the SO side needs to be on site, fully witness the whole process. And if they are not on site, they come next morning and everything is closed up already. If they suspect something is wrong, they can ask for opening up. The situation is like this. The discernment is like this. If the contractor calls you to come within an appropriate time for standing supervision and the representative did not come and you call for an opening up, if nothing is wrong, then this has to be borne by the client. If the opening up opening up and things are not properly done, then the contractor will pay with the opening up. Okay. It does not mean that the contractor is trying to cheat in the first place, but it just so happens after closing up, something went wrong, and then therefore he has to pay for that. If the contractor didn't call for the SO to come, okay, at all, so that means they do their own business lah. Then SO found out, "Ayo, how come you never asked me to come and see?" Then I think you're being hanky-panky. Open up. If there is no clear thing that the contractor, a clear message or clear not instruction, the clear request for standing supervision, then normally that when they call for opening up, no matter what good nor good, the contractor has to pay for it. So if that part of work is under standing supervision, make sure that you have to write in to ask them to come for standing supervision. So instructions wise is of course related to things like opening up, related to things like VOs, variation orders and all that. With variation order, obviously there are some deduction variation order, or there are some beneficial variation orders such as adding or changing of material that is more beneficial to the project. So we call it beneficial, or there's some detrimental variation order. Variation order basically is about two things. The process of calling for variation order, you have to read that very carefully, and the valuation of the variation order. So these are the two things that always in dispute one. Okay, I don't want to go through it like so strictly lah. So I mean, like this is something that we take note lah. Process especially, who is supposed to write in, and then after that evaluate, confirm the valuation and coming up with the order itself, the change order itself, then the execution of work. So this whole process is very clear. And instructions wise, in terms of instruction, there's power that is being vested onto the SO. SO does not mean that you can fully give instructions for everything. If it's not vested on to you that power, you need to refer back to the client to get permission before you can execute. Okay. So we read that carefully in your SO. What kind of power is invested in you? There will be a clause there that says that power vested, something like that. Okay. Right. So that is dealing with quality. So then of course we have clauses dealing with insurance, dealing with nominated subcontractor and suppliers, dealing with alternative designs. We also have termination. Termination obviously is what type of termination. Then of course the procedures for terminations is also part and parcel of a contract. So generally this is what most contract will cover. Like most contracts should have all these clauses, and these are the points that you as engineer, on signing of the contract, this is your job. This is your job daily. You have to handle all these things. Okay. So it's not about QS, it's not about Sapa, it's really the engineers. You are the frontliner basically. a lot of things when it comes to QS, they are already like it's already been filtered by the engineers and already gone back to them, you see. And Baru go to their office and back to their desk, you see. So the first line is usually the first executor, the first frontliner are usually the engineers themselves. Okay. All right. So I think procurement wise, we can say that we basically went through the requisition cycles. We went through the requirement cycles, the requisition cycle. Requisition cycle is about setting up all the strategies. You see, like what type of strategies you're using for tendering, what strategy you're using for procurement, what type of strategy you're using for contract type. Okay. Then after that, you move on to the solicitation. This is the time that you call. The whole tender process is under solicitation, including selection, including preparation of documents. Everything is under solicitation. And then after that, you have the award cycle, whereby you prepare the award, do the rate adjustments, and then sending out the letter of award, signing of the agreement. Once the agreement is signed, the site is possessed, construction work will start, contract administration will start. So the contract administration bit is the last final bit in procurement. If you do not execute this bit well, it's 50%. Okay, it's 50% of everything. It's 50%. It's about hard work. Okay? The hard work is done in the contract bit. Okay? A lot of choices are done in the earlier bit. Then once you make those choices, the execution bit is under the contract bit. Okay? Whatever choices that you make for the standard forms, the clauses, the terms, what we went through today, very quickly, what we went through today is basically what are the typical terms and conditions that you see in any standard form. Okay, but of course, the detail of it varies from form to form. You know, like PWD is a little bit different from PAN form different from JKR from contract, but they all talks about the same thing. You know, the same thing like what I've spoken to you just now, right? So this is basically procurement. Huh? So my time with you is on scope management, on costs, on quality, on procurement. Okay, 4 or 5 major areas that I've gone through with you. Yeah, and Dr. Lee's time with you was on economics, on time, on resources, time, on risk, stakeholder management, communication team. Yeah, this is project management. Okay, right. I'm done actually for the day. I will give you my tips for exams. My part only. Yeah, my part only. I think Dr. Lee will reiterate those questions with you again later on. Yeah. You guys want to show me any assignment first? Anyone interested to show me the assignment here?
Still doing it, Doctor. We'll preview once we compile.
Okay, but I don't have classes with you anymore, huh?
Okay, maybe we'll text you or email you.
Email me, huh? Please, huh? All right, if there's no questions on assignment, I will quickly, you cannot see my screen, right? Can you?
No, Doctor.
Okay, because I cannot allow you to see my screen because I'm opening up my test paper. Take a look. Otherwise, I'll be blasting my question. Then betul-betul mati saya. Okay, your exam will be on your exam overall as a PC, I'm telling you now, your exam will start on the 4th. Okay, on the 2nd, all of you will be sitting for your oral presentation. All right, which is about 1.5 weeks from now. 1 week plus from now. So that is right after Labor Day. Okay. With those of you who are new here, you do not know how to approach RP oral presentation, talk to your supervisor and ask Dr. Rauda. Okay. I mean, she's already shown you guys who is your examiner. So try to find your examiner. If they are not your typical lecturers that you know, maybe another person is selected to be your examiner, but you have never met him or her before, you can always email them or you can ask Dr. Rauda to find you the link for the examiner. Okay, the examiner will normally give the link as in that actually your oral should be physical, but I normally close my eyes and say, never mind, we treated your report is physical, so it's okay. So we do that. So you will need a WebEx link from your own examiner. That examiner usually will examine 2 to 3 students at the same time. So time-wise, we always set it as certain time, like 2 to 4 or Thursday 9 to 12 This is for you all to budi bicara with your own examiner. Okay, so you already have your schedule. After the class next week, please go and look for your examiner and get the WebEx link. Normally, Dr. Rauda will try to find all the WebEx link, but in case she did not give it to you, you can look for her. She's the RP coordinator, or if she doesn't respond to you, there's always me. I'm always the last person, okay, to wipe out everything. So you can always look for me as well. Yeah, and I'll try to find you the link. But there's only about 5 examiners, so all of you only like 12 or 15 of you. So one examiner is there will be about 5 group of examiners. So then it will be parallel session. You do it at the same, you do it separately under each examiner. So time-wise, link-wise, look for your examiner, but the date definitely fixed already second. And on the 4th, you will have first exam. Saturday morning, wastewater, 9 to 12, TR5, okay? And then next week is physical, my dear. Next week is physical classes. Make sure that you guys attend the physical classes and try to dig as much tips from your lecturer. RM, no exam, no worries. Dr. Lee will give you tips for our class. I will give you tips today as well. And then Dr. L, I think is the one. So try to correct from them. Or you can correct from Dayantu Salma. She's a nice lady. Yeah, so you can talk to her. Doctor, give more tips. So ask for tips next week, okay? Ask for tips next week. Next week, you will also have double class for project management. But I believe Dr. Lee will not have both class physical. So you double check with her which class you will have it as physical, which class you will not have it as physical, okay? She may have a Saturday class of physical and Sunday class not physical, so it's up to her, right? But both classes will be taken by her. Then of course, and then you will have soft soil. Soft soil again is in the morning, I believe. I think they all like to do it in the morning. Soft soil. I will send out the timetable by next week. There's a formal timetable for you all to apply leave and all that. But yeah, 5th, 9 to 12, that will be soft soil. And then our exam, PM, will be on 7th of May. Unless you guys want it earlier. If you want it earlier, like on the 5th of May, 2 to 5, I'm okay with that as well. Because this kind of schedule is usually all this while, most students prefer this sort of one-day skip.
I think stick to it lah, doctor. We already apply our leave.
Okay, 7.
We have to apply
Yeah.
my leave.
Because we need time to study a bit.
Right there. Okay, Ken. So 9 to, because the MSCEM group are very koba one. Every time their exam is one paper, 2 papers in one day one. They finish all the paper on Saturday and Sunday, like 8 to 11, and then after that they start again from 12 to 12 to 3 or something like that. People are crazy. Okay, I mean they do like 2 exams in a day. I don't think we can manage that. So 7 confirm do not say anything if so you forever hold your peace from now on. Okay, so I'll send out a timetable by next week for you guys to apply leave Then yeah, so that's all. Mine will be in the morning also, 9 to 12. Okay. There will be 5 questions because for project management is different from other subject. Other subject is 60-40. 60 assignment, 40 exam. For project management is actually 50%. So here we've got each question 20 marks, 20 marks, 20 marks, 20 marks for 5 questions. And these 5 questions will be distributed over, will be divided by 2 later on, not to be calculated to 10 marks, 10 marks, 10 marks, 10 marks, 10 marks. Okay? Somebody did not unmute the mic. Hello? Noisy. Somebody did not unmute the mic. Isni, you have any question, Isni? Okay. I unmute for her. Okay. I unmute her. Right. And then my question will be on scope management. Okay. It'll be on scope management. I need you all to discuss, okay, explain, okay, on the stages of scope development. Okay, meaning that you need to have a project, discuss about the project itself, like okay, yours is a semi-DR or something or a big project in way you discuss the project, that one there'll be some marks for it. The discussion of what the project is all about, the project background. And then in order to develop the scope for this particular project, what are the stages that is available? So you will start off by explaining on project environment study. So you need to draw out your circle, the 3 circles thing. Okay. So I'm telling you all these things now, you can prepare first, I'm not bluffing you. It's really the exam question already. So you project of your own choice, you draw, you get ready all your circle first. Then that is your project environment study. Talk about project environment and then how the environment studies will move on to scope statement, to project brief, and then to project scope feasibility studies, to option studies, the robustness studies, and all that. Okay, so you need to explain this whole flow of how a scope from nothing developed through your or to the product itself, meaning up to option study, up to feasibility studies. You do not need to memorize everything in every stages, but you must be able to summarize all these stages very clearly. Then the next part of the question is, after you've done your option study, it means that your scope, your project is described. What is your project? What are the components of your project? What are the sub-components of your project? So you can have a table, or you can have a product breakdown to end your question 1A. Then your question 1B, based on your question 1A, I need you to draw or write up your work breakdown structure. Okay? Very clear, very simple. Not simple, but very clear. Okay? So you need to learn the entire scope management process all the way from environment studies to how to select and all that. Okay? How to select the components. I mean, like the project scope statement, you know, and then from the scope statement, you know, project brief, project scope statements, you know, etc., you know, like the documents, you know, the how, you know, you develop from nothing, you know, the problem, the project environment, to say I want to build a bridge, and then how to develop into sub-components, you know, and how to study the feasibility, yes or no, the economics, bits of things, the benefit and cost, and then finally decide on whether this is a feasible project or not, the feasibility studies. Then you end up with your project scope. Project scope is your project breakdown. Your project, not project work breakdown, but your project component breakdown. Like let's say if you're building a school, so your project component will be a canteen, will be school halls, will be track field, will be student classrooms, you know, so you have your product breakdown. That will end your question 1B. Okay, then from that product breakdown, you do your work breakdown. Work breakdown like your scope, you know, like structural work, your ground beam, you know, the work breakdown. Okay, right. And then the question 2 is by Dr. Lee. I'll leave her to explain it to you. Question 3 is similar with your question 1. It will also require the project environment assessments and then selecting your procurement plan by telling us what procurement method is proposed and what contract type will be proposed. So meaning that you need to listen back to the recording on procurement method and contract type and justify your selection. And then question 1B is a following on thing with 3A. 3B is a following on things with 3B because you're creating a procurement plan, and how do you communicate that procurement plan? So that one is question 3. 3A is by me, 3B is by Dr. Lee. So 3A is on procurement, okay? Question 4 is by Dr. Lee. Question 5 is by myself. Question 5, you need to do your work breakdown. You need to come up with a detailed costing plan with resources, exactly like your assignment. But explain a little bit as you go along. Do not just give me tables and tables and tables, then you draw all your tables, okay? So it's about how you come up with your selected activities. I only require you to do 3 major activities, select the 3 major activities, and then what are the sub-activities, and do your resources planning, and then do your project costing plan, okay? And then on the same project, same activity, do design your QA/QC plan. So what is your PQP? How do you plan to do me a flow chart? You know, what is the work process? What are the material that you are looking at? What are the workmanship that you are, the labor, machinery, work method that you're looking at? And then what are your checkpoints? What are your testing plans? You know, and then how, if you fail, what do you do? You know, who is going to do the monitoring? How you plan to do the control? Exactly like what I've gone through with you today. Okay, so I think there's nothing out of whatever we have learned. It's very application. So if you do not know how to answer this question that well, go back to today's lecture around minute number 40, minute number 30 or something like that. Listen back all the way to minute number 30. 1 hour, that mark there, I think we have gone through quite a fair bit of things that answer this question there. Okay, I better off this unless I'm off this, otherwise if you hack my computer, you see all the question already. Right, so essentially that is what we are looking at for exam. So the other 2.5 questions from Dr. Lee, she will explain it herself. Okay, so let her explain my question too if you want, then you will see if she gives you more tips. She may accidentally give you more tips. I don't know. Okay, but I've already given you almost the question already. You can start your preparation now, even. Okay? You can write a standard set of answer already. And all this is recorded, okay? And then you can go back. I'll give you the recording. You still can listen back and, you know, at the minute, at the 2 hour and then up to minute 2:11, okay? 2 hour 11. I want you all to pass lah. Don't scare me lah. I cannot tahan already. So if you all on the 7th finish your exam, you need to hand in your RP on the 8th before 12 noon, okay, which is Wednesday. No extension given because that is the maximum we can push for you, because that following Friday we'll have a marks meeting to confirm your marks, and the following week, following Monday, the marks will be entered into the systems already. So no time for us to, because once we receive your report on the 8th, the examiner and also the supervisor only have 1.5 days to read your report. You can imagine how stressful that is, okay? So we are all helping you all. So don't come and talk to us about extension. This cannot be anything beyond 8 morning. If you want to be late, you budi bicara with your own supervisor if he actually can read your report in 2 hours after you submit and give us the marks the following day. Because they need to give us the mark on the 4th, on the Thursday. So by Wednesday morning, you submit the marks to them, submit the report to them. On just the next day, straight away, by evening, they need to give us the marks already. So it's really very tight. Yeah, so but for exam wise, the 3 papers with exams, what happens is normally, I think some of you already know this, if you receive a phone call from me on the 8th, usually on the 9th, that is bad news, meaning that you failed that subject. And normally, straight away, I will arrange for a resitting for you on the following Saturday. But resitting only get you the maximum marks of 60. So even if you do so well, like you get 100%, same paper, 100% for that subject, your total marks will only be 60. And not everybody is eligible for resitting. Only people who are getting around 55, 56 will probably have a better chance to be called for resitting. If your marks all add up only for 52, 53, not likely you'll be asked for resitting, because it's very difficult to get another extra 7 marks. It's very difficult. The 7 marks is like another question you have to get almost 15 or almost 15 or 18 out of 20 for you to repair that. You see? So normally we will only give chance to people who are around 55, 54, 55. 54 is probably the worst that we can push already. You are only about 6 marks difference, 5 or 6 marks difference. If let's say you call, and I will let you know, like, you are probably how much off like that. But only people is 55, 56, 57, 58 are a few marks away from 60, then we will call you in for re-examination. Right? So don't think that re-examination is unfair for you, because those people who are doing re-examination, they will only get 60. No way. And 60 is only CGPA 2.6 something. Okay? So you do not want 60. You absolutely do not want 60. You want to pass it with a good grade, get 70, get 80, get 75, get 65. That is what you aim to do, not aiming to sit for resitting. That is a very stupid thing to do, okay? All this system has been here for many years already. There is no loophole one. You don't think, yeah, I see the paper already, then later on I do for resitting law, and then I'll pass law. Yeah, 1 or 2 paper you do that, yeah, you're okay. But if you all the paper you resit us, then you know what you're going to get. Your CGPA will be only 2.67, okay? And then another semester like this, bye-bye, you get kicked out. So better go for one shot. Okay, so that will be the whole process until the end of the semester. I received a message from Lau. I just read the message this morning, actually, sorry, about one of my recording not properly, cannot open it. Is it Lau?
Yeah, doctor. The recording is only 3 seconds.
The class one or what? Is it a full
Lecture
class?
the number 9, is it? I need to check back, doctor.
Oh, wait,
Also, doctor, can we get the rubric for the assignment too?
okay, okay. Oh, this is a full class recording. I think maybe YouTube hasn't fully processed it before you open, you see. Can you try to open it again today? If you still can't open, you drop me another message. I will have to redo it in YouTube again. But sometimes when I text you,
Yeah. Later, I will
Next
check again
week.
and I inform doctor.
because sometimes when I inform you, it's just that I just posted it. But in YouTube, because this is the full class recording, sometimes it's not fully processed in YouTube. So when you open it, it's like, oh, you know, it's only like unprocessed. It's not finished processing. It will usually
I see.
yeah, it usually take about 5 to 6 hours to be processed normally. This is full class recording. This is the time. This is the one that the whole class we talk about. The whole class is the full one. That one should have about 50 over minutes or 1 hour plus, I think. Yeah, for that day. Yeah. Okay, you guys take a look first. I hope you let me know. Huh?
Okay, doctor.
All right. I think that's all from me for today. And any more questions? If no more, we call it a day. And see you guys during exam. I'll be invigilating you during exam. Huh? If you have any questions, you can ask me as well.
Doctor,
Yes.
this exam, is it open book or is a closed book?
It's closed book. Everything is closed book.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
No exam in Unimas is open book. There may be some exam they will give you the formula depending on some subjects or ask you to bring the code, but normally there is no open book in terms of notes. It means that you cannot bring any notes inside there, okay?
All right.
Same goes with project management. A lot of notes, but you cannot have it. Used to be online, when we have online exam, that is like an open book exam. That one is like online, you can just look at all the material, but the question, the way that it's written, the time for the questions, everything is very different, okay? The question for open book exam is very long. It's actually requiring you to do for 5 to 6 hours normally. And it's a very stressful time. I mean, like, but then you can have open book, but the marking, the grading, the questions, the expectations, and the time for the exams are all very different. That one is during COVID time when some subjects has open book exam. Usually we give open book like very, very long kind of questions, 6 hours to do the open book. Okay. Anything else?
Not for me, doctor.
Okay. You do, hey, your things,
Yeah, I'm finished the amendment. I tried to send it by tonight.
Okay, sure. Or tomorrow morning also fine.
Okay, thanks.
Hey guys, bye-bye.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, doctor.
Azaria, how are you feeling, Azaria? Are you okay? You are the one that having the appendix, right?
Yes, doctor.
How's it?
So far, okay.
Feeling better already?
Yeah.
Oh, kesiannya. So no raya for you lah.
No.
Oh dear. Okay. Yeah, take care, huh? And then be well, be very well for all the exams, huh?
All right.
Okay, see you guys. Bye bye.
Bye.